Hello and welcome to Ivory Blush Roses. My name is Lisa. Today we're going to stitch seam 11 on our CQtober project. I'm really loving this autumn pillow project and it's just fun to see it come to life every day. Let's go ahead and choose our stitch. See what we come up with. See if we can come up with just one. Wonderful. Let's see what it is. So today is chained feather stitch. That's a fun one. We'll enjoy doing that one, and that could be done on a long or a short seam. Let's see what we want to do on this. We've done the last couple of stitches over on this side, and this side is pretty well done, but I thought we could move over into some of this other stuff. So, chained feather, where would we want to do that? So that'll have the lazy daisies built into the seam. We did a feather stitch over here and over here, so maybe we should move over this way. We could do this long one here. Let's do this one. Now I have to decide, do I want it to go this way? So chain feather stitch is going to come this way. I think that's actually going to work out pretty well. What colors do we want? Because we've got quite a variety there. We have green and orange, the brown, and then the black with multi. So we're going to really need something to pop off of that. I'm thinking one of our lighter oranges might do the job. We could do something like that. That looks good on all four of those fabrics. The other possibility is to do this one. But will it disappear on some of these darker fabrics? I just want to try and run a range of color. Actually, that might be really nice. Let's do that one, and we may not need to do anything else to that stitch. Alright, let me get it in the hoop, and then we'll be back. For chained feather stitch, I want my crosses to be centered on that seam. So I'm actually going to start by coming out here, and let's make that first cross. And remember, on this pile fabric I have to exaggerate just a little bit to make this work. Now I'm going to come back up here, and I'm going to go under that straight, and then we'll finish what is really a lazy daisy. We're going to come back up at just about the same spot. And so that will help make them look like they're connected to one another. So we'll go down. And now we're going to come up here. And we're going to go under that thread. Back down where we started. And come back up right at the end of that straight. There we go. Now we're going to go all the way over into here. Now, depending on where we're at in the variegation on this thread, some of the stitches will be more noticeable than others. It doesn't hurt for me to exaggerate them on this fabric. If I was working on cotton or silk, I wouldn't be exaggerating quite so much. And trying to come up right at that end to give it the best look. There we go. And I'm going to be trying to come down in line with what I've done before. And I think we can make those lazy daisies just a smidgen bigger. Underneath. Back down where we were. And up at the end of the straight stitch. Under that thread. And now I'm trying to also keep my threads parallel. And it's really easy on this one to get it bigger and bigger, so I need to really watch that so that I don't keep getting bigger. And I have gotten a little bit bigger because I wanted to start with, but I want to keep it consistent from here out. Under that thread. And now I'm trying to also keep my threads parallel. And it's really easy on this one to get it bigger and bigger, so I need to really watch that so that I don't keep getting bigger. And I have gotten a little bit bigger because I wanted to start with, but I want to keep it consistent from here out. So I really want to watch the length of my stitches and the position. Go under. I'm looking back and see I got a little twist in there, so I need to make sure I'm not twisting when I come back up. So I forgot before I did that. I need to pull that back a little bit. We're going to end up with all orange on this orange fabric. I should have paid a little more attention to where my variegation was. Tried to get something that was a little bit more contrasty on that one. It is what it is. Should have threaded this needle the opposite direction with the variegations for maximum contrast, I think. And so we've turned a little bit, so like on the seam we did with the triple feather, I need to vary my angle ever so slightly to accommodate that. Well, that didn't go underneath. There we are. And it really helps to make sure you're pulling up to that one before you pull that daisy tight. Oh, go through. I keep forgetting. And yet that makes a big difference in how this one looks. Now I do think we need to come back and add something to this seam. I'm thinking something in gold maybe. It needs something to bring it a little bit more life. Remember, the things that we're considering adding to our seams are French knots, lazy daisies, the straight stitch triads, well, straight stitches, and we could do however many we wanted on them. I like the way that variegation changed there. I was hoping we were going to get to the end of this without needing to change threads, but I don't think we're quite going to make it. I've got to look at the list here. So our French knot, lazy daisy, pistol stitch, straight stitch, and then twisted lazy daisies. What we're doing here is really similar to the twisted lazy daisy. And I think we're done with that thread. I don't think I can do anything else with it. But I do feel like this one needs something else, so let me know in the comments what you would have done with this to add a little something extra to it. And we'll see if what you choose is the same as what I end up choosing. I'm going to thread this the opposite direction so I can kind of continue that variegation. And I realize that as I get down to the bottom of these seams, it's hard to see. I'm going to try and stitch right down to here on this to carry it through. Nope, go through underneath, Lisa. Oh, I think my mat must have cat hair on it because I laid that thread down on that mat. And look, I've got cat hair, and I haven't had cat hair this whole time. This is a stitch that I also like very well when it's done a little closer together than this. I've just done this sort of in keeping with the scale of a lot of stuff we've been doing on this project. So stitching a little bit bigger. I think this one we're going to stitch off there. We're going to call it quits because I'm at the hoop. That in there. See if I can knot this off so close to the top here. I think we got it. Sorry, I know you couldn't see that. Interesting, I like the orange against this fabric, so I need to remember that for this seam here. We've already got lazy daisies, so I don't want to do more lazy daisies or twisted lazy daisies on this. I'm actually sort of wondering about just a little spray, maybe even just 2 straight stitches coming out of the base of, well, that's going to be real similar to that though. We could always just do a French knot and we could just dot in some French knots along here. I feel like we've got 2 choices for that. We have this one, which is the size 8 gold, which would bring some gold into that seam. Or we have the beige, and you know what? It looks white against that one. So I am not going to use that. I think it needs the lift of this gold one. Let's just keep it simple with French knots. I'm going to come up so I'm just about even with the ends of the triangles. And so of course down here where we're pretty close to the color, it's not going to have quite the same impact that it does when we get up in some of these other areas where it's a contrasting color. And if we decide it needs something else, we can always come back and do something else. That's the nice thing about Crazy Quilt Stitches. It's amazing how much you can build them out just by continuing to add more things to them. Where the stitches kind of blend, the French knots sort of help make them a little bit more noticeable. And I like that. And this one's going to end up right here on the edge where all those fabrics come together. I think in my bowl of stitches to choose from, I think I put 33 stitches in there. So if we're stitching 30 seams, there's 3 in there that we won't be doing. So I'll be curious to see which ones we end up not having. And then I've been saving all the little slips, and so when I go to make the second pillow top, I can pull from that again and just make sure I'm getting a similar variety of stitches. Well, we have 2 French knots to go. Do you think I have enough thread to do that? I don't know. It's going to be close. Need one in here. I think we're going to make it barely. That is a tight squeeze, folks. All right. There is that seam. I think we're done with it. I don't think it needs anything else. But let me turn it over and get that knotted, and then we'll take it off and take a look at it. And I don't have enough thread length, so I'm going to go through with the back of the needle. So here's our seam with that variegation. And so it's a little subtle in spots, but I'm pretty pleased with it. I think it blends well. I think adding the French knots to it helped brought it into cohesion with the other stitches that we have on here. So I'm pretty happy with that. Remember, all this fabric was salvaged from clothing. And I noticed this fabric, sometimes there's marks on it, and I keep thinking, oh, there's a cat hair there, but it's just a mark in the fabric from where it was part of a garment. Well, we have another seam done, and I'm really happy with the way this whole project is going. Every seam I add, it's just coming to life, and I'm really pleased with it. Thank you so much for watching. I'm deeply grateful for your presence. Have a beautiful day, happy stitching, and I'll see you in the next video.